I'm Adamson from Greenbelt Greenhouse Limited. We're an organic salad producer. Our brand at retail is Greenbelt Organic Greens, and I'm the president of the company. Bamford Produce and ourselves partnered to take this facility back into organic salad production. So we essentially took an existing table system that you can see behind me and developed a system to actually treat each one of these tables like a mini farm field. I think it's about 1,800 tables flows along this railroad system to the pack house, and then the materials harvested off and packed directly into clamshells through a whole series of equipment. And essentially our product, when it heads to the pack house, from the harvester through to actually being in its box ready for shipment, is 4 minutes flat. Ontario Super Crunch is actually a blend that we created of a very crunchy lettuce variety that's actually behind me here, along with pea seedlings, arugula, and a spicy mustard, and it gets a lot of traction at retail. What differentiates our organization from every other CEA is that we manufacture an organic soil that all our crops are planted in. We create a tremendous amount of flavor in our product because of the nutrition that we build into the soil. We have a full LED lighting system here so that we can produce 52 weeks out of the year. We are literally the only certified organic local brand in Ontario on shelf. We've invested a substantial amount of time, money, and effort into automating the processes to keep our production costs as low as possible. We are running one shift currently per day, and we're running about 4,000 to 5,000 clamshells per day. I think our capacity is over 6. I work with Eric from Abbey Packaging, and he helped us with the fundamental design of what we're trying to accomplish. The goal was to automatically harvest, sanitize, chill, and get that product into a clamshell, as well as weigh check it, label it, and get the final clamshell into a box ready for shipment. And we accomplished all those goals, and literally it has been a great relationship. They have taken care of us anytime we have any machine issues. Their service team is very close by. That's one of the main reasons that we selected Abbey, is because one, their relationships with all the major manufacturers around the world, and two, their location to us in Burlington, Ontario. So they're only half an hour away from us, so we can get technical support very, very quickly. It has paid dividends immensely in our labor savings costs, and as a result, we can produce a tremendous amount of product out of this facility.
Hi, I'm Eric Van Kopenol, and I work with Abbey Equipment Solutions, and we're here at Greenbelt to look at their production line. We actually had the challenge of designing a complete line from scratch for their greenhouse operation. So I'm going to take you through that line so that you can understand what we've done here. We're taking the product from the harvester, coming from the greenhouse, and then we get a flow of product going through, and we now use one of our supplier, which is Turatti from Italy, and we drop the product onto a belt that will separate the small fines out of the flow of product to have a cleaner product at the end of the line in the package. So this belt basically knocks all the small fines out of the good flow of product that we want to keep. Initially, the project started out with the question of whether or not we needed an optical sorter to get rid of defects and contaminants in the product. So we built redundancy in this line, and then we included a transition belt should the need for the optical sorter ever arise. So the product is then transferred onto a CleanWorks unit, which is a separate supplier from Abbey, and the guys at Greenbelt really wanted to explore the sanitation aspect of having this tunnel in place.
We partnered with a company out of Niagara called CleanWorks, and CleanWorks developed a system validated by the University of Guelph, and we actually had our product tested at the University of Guelph through a CleanWorks system to essentially sanitize it without using water. One of the reasons we get such good product shelf life is because we do not wash our product, we sanitize it in a CleanWorks tunnel. And that technology is a combination of UV, hydrogen peroxide, and ultraviolet. The CleanWorks technology is critical to the food safety of our operation. And Eric was in charge of making sure that system integrated seamlessly to the Turatti conveyor belts as well as the rest of the line. And nothing like having a great systems integrator, and Eric certainly performed for us in that regard.
Now we're transferring into the intake of the cooling tunnel. The reason for the cooling tunnel is very simple. We have a greenhouse operation which is at about 25 degrees C, and we need to rapidly cool the product down to about 4 degrees C for packaging. One of the asks from Greenbelt was to have a line that was flexible. So we had to design it in such a way that we can have or deal with different types of production, different types of packaging. So a lot of that is happening at this end of the line where product comes out of the cooler and we drop on a bidirectional belt which also acts as a buffer. It gives Greenbelt the ability on the one side to now further pack into a portioning and then to a clamshell. One of the critical factor in handling leafy greens is the fact that we have to do this without damaging the product. It is very tender, very gentle. So what we've done here is we've used a company called Liftvrac out of France. Liftvrac has a really interesting solution where they elevate the product to the scale without the use of flights or belts that are potentially going to cause damage. They use a flat belt system which then wraps itself around the product, which is now very gentle, and then transfers the product up to the scale and then opens up at the discharge again. We've equipped the line with sensors. The level sensor will read how much product is being dumped on the intake of the Liftvrac. So when we have too much product feeding into the Liftvrac, the buffer belt has a built-in sensor which will read or monitor how much product is in the lift. If it is too much, the belt then reverses flow and then acts as a buffer until the Liftvrac releases the product and the belt can feed it again. This automation is really nice for these guys because they don't need to monitor anything. So on the scale, we wanted to also have flexibility up here as well. The scale is built on wheels, so it is mobile. So now this gives the capability of packing below into one format, and then by moving the scale and the lift with it, we're now able to feed below onto a secondary line, which can then be a bagger or a different format packaging. This solution was really a nice solution for Greenbelt because with one scale and one lift, they now have two packaging lines that they could use. When it comes to weighing equipment, Multipond out of Germany is a very innovative manufacturer of scales and depositing system and vibrating system as well. For Greenbelt, we designed a scale that has a milled surface so that no product will stick to the surface of the stainless steel. Multipond also has a different approach when it comes to controlling product flow on the scale, and that's called Argus.
One of the things Eric recommended during this process of purchasing the Multipond system, they had just developed a new technology called Argus, which allows the scale to see how much product is actually on the scale head and adjust accordingly. Essentially, you need a person standing on top of the scale all the time, distributing the product evenly across the surface of the scale for accuracy and speed of the scale. The Argus vision system does that automatically. So I don't have to have anyone on top of our scale maintaining product flow. It does it fully automatically. And down below, there's actually a screen where you can see whether there's any jams or anything up on top of the scale. And it makes my staff quite happy. From a payback perspective with having the Argus system, we don't have one full-time employee up on top of our scale ever.
Essentially, it's a vision system with cameras fitted above the scale that will now scan each vibrating pan of that scale and know where the product is on the scale and will decide which pan to vibrate in order to disperse the product flow evenly. So now that we have a portion that's weighed by the scale on top of the mezzanine, we deal with it below, which is now a tamping system that will pack the product and deposit that into the clamshell. So once the system has put the product in the clamshell, the operator then visually looks at or makes sure that we don't have product sticking out before we close the lid. So now we're on the packaging room side of the plant. And at this stage, we're closing the shell and we're labeling the shells. Once that's done, for quality assurance, we go through an Anritsu metal detector and checkweighed. This piece of equipment is all integrated into one unit with its own reject system. The solution for rejecting product in this case is quite simple. We use a flipper reject, and with that we have two directions of rejection. On the one side we have contaminants going into a bin, which is then locked, and on the other side we have overweights and underweights. The product then is moved out of the packaging room into the case packing room. The case packing cell by Consolidated Technologies is quite nice because it is compact and it will basically take care of the entire process. From loading the blanks to opening up the case, presenting it to the robot, loading product into the case, further down, closing the case, gluing the case or taping it, and labeling it. At the end, basically the operator, all they have to do is remove the case away.
We have a very complex line. A lot of integration occurred between Turatti, Liftvrac, Multipond, Anritsu, integrating all those systems, and the technical expertise that is within the ABI team has been incredible. Our product is at the distribution centers within 2 days of production, where California product is typically 5 to 6, and then the package deteriorates very rapidly once the consumer gets it, because it's probably pushing a week and a half old by the time the retail consumer has it. Well, from our facility, they could be eating it on day 3. So it has higher nutritional value, better texture, better flavor, and the consumers are always very surprised about how long our product lasts. We are literally California in Ontario, and we're glad we have ABI on our side.